Okay, next up is Alchemy. This has been around a few years now. It's a really farmer friendly variety in that it does produce a lot of tillers. It's a slow developer. It's got a fairly good disease package behind it. Septoria's probably slipped from 7 down to sort of a 6 now, 6.3 or thereabouts. I would guess, but it's still a farmer friendly variety. It just allows you that breathing space in the spring if it's wet and the conditions aren't favorable. Just buys you a bit of time to get out there before you need to be putting on the T0. As I say, it's a slow developer, so it just lies there waiting for the temperatures to get right, and then up it goes. Whereas a lot of these other ones are just sort of wanting to bolt straight out the door past Christmas. So it's an older variety. It's a couple of points behind in terms of outright yield. Nevertheless, it throws a good sample. As you can see here, it's nice and thick. It's got a fairly good disease package. It's fairly stiff, so it stands well, and it's certainly not done and dusted in terms of usage and where it has its niche place on the farm. It's still a worthy variety to be looking at and growing. Next up is Isterbrach. Isterbrach's done very well up in Scotland. It's the parent also of Avatar. It has fantastic grain. Lovely orange bold grain. Has the highest distilling fraction of any wheats, so that's a very useful trait. It does seem to cope with drought very well, and produces good straw. So all in all, quite a sound variety, especially on dry ground. Next up, Horatio. Horatio again tillers very well, but as you can see from here, it has struggled with yellow rust this year. This is one of the 3 varieties down here which did struggle. JB Diego was one, this was another, and Reflection was the other. So it does struggle now with yellow rust, so you've got to be right on with the spray program. But it does fill sheds. It is, it's been the highest yielding variety down here in the past. Next up is Avatar. This is without Redigo. This is just Redigo deter, so it's not treated with Latitude. The idea was to see if we were going to see any take all. We haven't seen any yet, but it's still looking very good, nice and clean. So yeah, should do the business. Next up is Leeds, which is a sister type variety, not really a sister, but it shares a common parent. This is Isterbrach crossed with Robigus. Again, looking fairly good under this regime. We did have a lot more mildew early on than the other varieties, but again, we'll see how it yields compared to the Avatar. The Avatar is normally just pipping it at the post. We'll see how it goes. Revelation. So again, Revelation is rather like Alchemy. It's one of those varieties that takes a while to get going in the spring. If it doesn't tiller too much, what it does is it compensates by producing these very big ears, as you can see here. Colossal ears, lots of grains per ear. It's clean. It's the one you drill first and the one you can harvest last. It hangs in there. It's very consistent in its yields. It's maybe sort of 100%, 98 to 100% in terms of overall yield, but it's consistent year in, year out. That's what it'll do. So quite again, a farmer friendly variety. Now we come into JB Diego. It used to be the mainstream variety down here. It's looking pretty clean still here, but if we turn around, you can see it's fairly well shredded on that side there. It really got yellow rust in a major way this year, and I just think it's sort of lost its legs a little bit down here. It'll probably still yield all right in the trial plots here, although it's always been sort of middle of the road, never been right up at the top. But yeah, it's done well in the past. Right, reflection. Again, reflection. You can see here, the disease pressures coming into it quite strongly. If we go across the path, now you can see why it's a Russian roulette variety. You've got to get your sprayers right. I imagine you probably could get 16 ton down here with it, or 15 ton, but you'd probably be needing to spray it 5 times. But again, we'll see how it does this year. Next up is Evolution. Evolution's done very well down here as a first and a second wheat. Has this deep rooting capacity, which just means it can scavenge nutrients very well. It's looking clean. Haven't got any yellow rust in it this year, even though it was right next door to the reflection here. Not seen any yellow rust in it at all. So it's not getting the yellow rust 3 or blue warrior blue race. But yeah, it's done very well down here. A useful variety. Right, this is Graham. Right, so we've put Graham in a pretty sticky position here. It doesn't like being a second wheat or in a continuous wheat scenario, so I believe, and I would suggest that that is true. You can see here it's just struggling a bit. Got a lot of tipping on the leaves. If we look across on the untreated side here, you can see there, yeah, it just doesn't look happy at all. Whether that's a combination of factors, I don't know. It could be that there's a bit of take-all coming into this, but not really happy in this slot. I would suggest that if you're going to grow Graham, it's a first wheat slot only. And then we come to Sundance, and this is just absolutely incredible. This variety here, from a Septoria point of view, is amazing. It's a 7.3 rating on the list. That's the sprayed. If we look across here at the untreated, it's still got loads of green leaf. Absolutely incredible. So we'll see how this yields. I'm looking forward to combining this and seeing what the weights come in. But yeah, it's thick. It's looking really, really good. Next up is Motown, and again, Motown is your Revelation type, but early. And as you can see here, the heads are already starting to mature. Yeah, we're starting to see ears. The grains are there. Grains are here. They're filled out quite well. And this is sort of your Grafton type earliness variety. So this is, I'd suggest, a really useful variety to have in the rotation. And then finally down here we've got Bletchley. Again, Bletchley didn't go on the list last year. It's maintaining its leaf in this side here in the treated, but it got a bit shredded by yellow rust on this side here. So whether that variety has any seed production, I don't know. But I'd suggest it's probably a variety more towards Midlands and Dorset. Don't know if the Septoria pressure is, it's not quite strong enough on the Septoria. And then again down here, the last plot is a guard plot of Avatar, and then you can see quite clearly the difference in the amount of green leaf in this plot. Still looking very good. Right, that's it. Following is the spray program.